Hey, Ducks and Kings fans, this is Cody. Before we get into the trade deadline recap with my dad and I just want to make a quick apology. We were having some Wi-Fi issues during the recording session. I tried my best to edit everything out, so if you noticed anything, you know, any miscues or anything that just sound like the sentences don't click, it's just because that's when we were having the Wi-Fi issues and it just cut out the audio and we had to restart everything. So I apologize about that. We'll try to fix that for the future episodes. So, uh, like I said, we apologize. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thank you. Hello, Ducks and Kings fans. Welcome back to Royally Quacked. We're going to do a special edition for you. We're going to do our very own trade deadline recap. We will discuss we'll do another podcast about the Ducks and Kings games, and we'll discuss more of the Ducks and I guess since the Kings really did nothing, we'll talk more about the Ducks recap more tomorrow on our regular podcast. So I'm your first co-host, Cody Spink, and my other co-host is
Gary Spink.
So. All right, guys, we're gonna go back to just talk about all the trades and our opinions on them. So right now we're gonna start off with the Chris Tanev trade to Dallas. So this trade had Chris Tanev and Cole Brady going to the Dallas Stars. New Jersey retained 50% of the salary for Tanev and got a 2026 fourth round pick from Dallas. And then the Calgary Flames got Artem Grushnevich. Or no. Oh, Grushnevskov.
Yes,
God, I love hockey names. They're so hard to say, and I love it at the same time.
I love hockey, but I hate the names, Cody. I hate the names.
I like them because
It's
but
a challenge.
yeah. So the Artem Grushnevikov, we'll go with that. I'm gonna probably keep saying it wrong, but that's the closest I'm gonna get. They also got a 2024 second round pick from Dallas and a 2026 third round pick from Dallas. That's a conditional. And the condition is the pick is only transferred if Dallas advances to the Stanley Cup final and the 2024 playoffs. So all they have to do is make the final, and that pick, they'll get that third round pick.
Good trade for Dallas.
I
Tanev
would,
is tough. Good defenseman.
yes,
I think Dallas did a great job. They're already good. They're just getting better. It's
yeah,
it's like my old history teacher used to say, the rich get richer and the poor have kids. And this is back in the 70s when I was in high school, people. So um, he knew what he was talking about because the rich have gotten richer in the NHL
yeah,
in my book. We won't know until these picks get picked and the end results because sometimes that it's not a benefit in the long run. But
yeah.
we'll see. But I
Well,
think good for Dallas.
I say Dallas. If Chris Tanev just plays just how he normally plays, and I think this is going to be, I think Dallas will be the biggest winner from this draft, just because one, they didn't give up any of their top prospects. They didn't give up Stankoven. They didn't give up Bork. They didn't give up. Oh, what was the other? There was like another top defenseman player they had, and so they didn't give up any of their top prospects for this, and they didn't even get rid of. They didn't even spend a first round pick either. It was
Well,
just a second round pick and maybe a third round pick, and then not like it's a. From what I've heard, he's a defensive defenseman, so he's kind of like a. They were saying like a Chris Tanev, I think Racco Gudis type kind of player. Just, I mean, we'll see. They're saying like that's what he could become, but we'll see.
Well, I think he's that already. He has a little bit of an offensive game, and Dallas has already got some good
No,
defensemen.
no, no. I'm
So,
talking. No, I'm talking about the player that Calgary got, the prospect, Artem Greshnikov.
ah, okay.
He's supposed to be like a Radko Gudas Chris Tanev type, from what I've heard. Like that's what his projection is going to be, but we'll see what happens.
Well, then he would be um, and he's going to Calgary, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Dallas didn't even give up one of their top prospects from
Well, if
for
you've
this.
noticed in a lot of these trades, Cody, they're they're trying to give away not prospects but draft picks because their prospects they've already put some time into and effort, and you just never know what that pick is going to get you. It could get you, some of these guys that just will never be in the NHL ever. So
And I
one
feel like
thing,
picks are also better to get because picks are easier to get, and then you can use those later in the future to get a trade or something like that. It's harder to trade a prospect, but it's easier to trade a draft pick.
yeah, so move up and down the draft. A
Yeah,
lot like
exactly.
what the Kings actually do, except for last season. They didn't do it. Well, let's move on to the next one. I think that was a good one for Dallas.
Yes, I agree. Um, so I know we already talked about this on the last podcast. We'll just go over it just briefly. The next trade was the Labushkin trade. So the Ducks traded Ilya Labushkin. I like how I could say that one, no problem, but I can't say Grushnikov, even though I can say it now finally. Um, so the Ducks acquired a 2025 third round pick for Ilya Labushkin at 50% retained, and then also Carolina came in as a third party, I would say, to help retain part of that salary. So you had the Ducks retaining half, then Carolina retained half, and since Carolina retained half, they got a 2024 sixth round pick. And then the Maple Leafs got Kirill Slepets, and they got the signing rights to Kirill Slepets, and then Ilya Labushkin as I believe 75% retained. So, I mean, Maple Leafs are only technically added $687,500 to their salary cap. That was it.
Uh, that's what they had to do.
Yeah.
They don't. They're not cap friendly.
I see what you did there.
Well, we were.
Yeah, we already talked about that trade.
Yeah. So we'll just move on to the next one.
We'll move on to the next one. The next one is the Colorado Avalanche acquired Zatkar Bar- Bardakov. The
Bardakov.
signing, yeah,
Bardakov.
Bardakov. Ooh, and they got the signing rights for him and a 2024 seventh round pick from Nashville. And and then the New Jersey Devils got Curtis McDermott, former King.
Yes.
So,
Somebody to beat somebody up with. He can actually play forward and defend. He played
oh,
both.
oh, I didn't
You
know
didn't know
that.
that? Yeah.
No, all I know
When he
is
went
him
when he went
and Nick
when he
Delory
went to
always like to
Colorado
fight.
when he went to Colorado, he was a defenseman for the Kings. He was playing forward for Colorado when he played.
Yeah. See, I just remember him and Nick Deloria. Whenever the Ducks and Kings played, it was always those two going at each other, and those were always entertaining fights to see.
Yeah, I,
So
I enjoyed him.
I have nothing really else on this one. I think it was just New Jersey needed some some big guys, so I'm guessing that's why they made this move.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and then
Small.
the
That's a
second,
small move. That's a small move.
yeah, small move. The next one is the Vegas Golden Knights acquired Anthony Mantha at 50% retained for a 2024 second round pick and a 2026 fourth round pick. So, and those are both also Vegas's picks. So, I'd say good move for I hate to say it, but good move for Vegas because Anthony Mantha, I think he's a scorer and he's a big guy.
Unfortunately, we're gonna go over a lot of these guys, and a lot of the teams in the West really improved. They did. You know,
Well, that
the Vegas, that's not the only trade they made. There's more to come, and I
yeah,
don't know how they can
sadly,
do it. I mean, I guess because everybody's hurt, like, Leonard and,
let's put the hurt in air quotes, Dad.
yeah, well, Vegas cheats. So no, I didn't you didn't
We're
hear
not
that
the
from
only.
me. Hey, you guys stop that. This is my podcast, not yours. Oh, let's move on.
But I would say good move for Vegas. They needed some wing. They needed another winger, so I think that was a good move for them. Sadly,
I think it's a good
um,
move for Washington because they're rebuilding.
yeah. So and they'll at least have a second round pick for this year. Because I think with Washington, they weren't going to bring back Mantha. He was a UFA at the end of the year, so I'd say good move for Washington as well. They got a second round pick out of it too, so you never
Well,
know. So they can hit on those.
you never know.
Yeah. The
Look at
next one,
Pasternak. Pasternak was,
well, he was a first
not
round pick.
yeah, but a late first round pick.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, because the Ducks drafted Nick Ritchie in that draft, and we could have had Pasternak.
There's a whole lot
But
of people could have had Pasternak.
yeah, all right, we'll move on. The next trade is Vladimir Tarasenko is going to Florida, and the Ottawa Senators got back a 2024 fourth round pick, a conditional, and a 2025 third round pick. And the condition is it upgrades to a 2026 third round pick if Florida wins the Stanley Cup in 23-24. So they
Well,
could
they
possibly get two third round picks, but I say the Senators lost this trade just because Tarasenko had a no trade clause, and that's the only place he wanted to go.
the rich get richer. I Florida can win the cup. They're tough.
Yeah,
And
they're
and they got
they
another
look good.
scorer now. Yeah, they look
Yeah,
good. I
and
mean,
I
they
think he scored
surprised me.
tonight or yesterday or today, but he
I think
scored.
he did score, and that's what he's good at. So
Yeah,
I think that's a good trade for Florida.
good trade
You
for
never
Florida.
know with the
Yes,
I don't know, 2 third round picks. Ottawa,
it could be two third round picks.
well, I think it could be. They have to win it? Oh, they have to
They
win
have
the Stanley Cup.
they have to win the
Well, the
Stanley
Kings are
Cup
gonna
for.
beat them. The Kings are gonna beat them in the Stanley Cup final, so
We'll
they're only
go
gonna get a
over
4th round
that
pick.
later,
Okay, yeah.
anyways. But
Hey, I gotta be positive for my team.
yeah, but man, I don't know. All these players just they want to go to Florida because that's what happened in the Claude Giroux trade, not last season, but the season before. Apparently, Colorado gave the best um, offer for Giroux, but Giroux didn't want to go to Colorado. He wanted to go to Florida, and since he had a no move clause or no trade clause, he said no to Colorado, and he wanted to go to Florida. But the funny thing is,
Sunshine or snow during hockey season. What would you pick?
well, if
I
I
don't know
would
if you
have been,
thought about that.
well, if I would have saw the future, I would have gone to Colorado because they won it,
Well,
and he would have been a champion.
yeah, you never know. Giroux's wife might not like the snow.
It was only for 2-3 months, so.
Yeah.
But oh well, all right, and we'll move on to the next one. So this is I think probably one of the underrated top moves I believe is the Colorado Avalanche acquired Sean Walker and a fifth round pick from a 2026 fifth round pick from Philly for Ryan Johansson and a 2025 first round pick, which is a conditional one, but we'll see what the condition is. It's a top 10 protected. Yeah, like Colorado's gonna have a top 10 draft pick next year.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So
Which well, you know what? That uh, Walker's a good player.
great player.
Ryan Johansson's getting old.
Yeah, if but they moved $4 million in a first round pick for play a player they needed, and they got rid of that $4 million salary cap hit too. They end up being gained another $1.35 million in their cap space because of that move.
Colorado's also another cap strap team, so that was a good move.
Yeah, well, and the next move, but we can also talk about because it also has to do with the Colorado Avalanche. This is the one that shocked me, in my opinion, is the Colorado Avalanche acquired Casey Middlestat for Bohm Byram. That's a hockey trade right there, a one for one. And again, Colorado only they saved another $1.35 million. So they in two trades, I think they upgraded their team and they end up saving what 2.7 million in their cap.
Well, Byram's when he's not hurt is a pretty darn good defenseman,
Yeah,
and I think Buffalo has an idea for him, and that's why they made this move. I mean, and Colorado made the move to get another,
center.
good forward. Yeah, good forward because he could probably play either, and they save money, and they needed to save money. So that good move by both teams. I think this was a fair trade,
I,
myself personally.
the only issue I have, and I believe this is what Jeff Merrick said on his podcast, is now Boehm Byram he's a left-handed shot, and you have Darlene Powers, and I think it's Samuelson, and those are their top three defensemen, and now Boehm Byram, and they're all left-handed shots.
Well, I know another team that had a lot of left-handed shots
Hmm. Who?
or right-handed shots. What they should have made the trade with the Kings. So
Oh, here.
but then we picked up Gavrikov, and I don't know. I kind of like our left-handed D's now. So,
Yeah.
but I think it was a good move by both teams. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they both had needs. They met those needs, saving money and getting players.
Yeah.
The
And
next
I,
trade, the next
well,
trade, I'm going to talk about this and give you a break because you've been doing everything. Hopefully, I don't butcher anybody's name. The next trade was for your Ducks. I know you really wanted this one, but I'm going to
that's
do it.
fine. Go ahead.
So the Anaheim Ducks traded Sam Carrick and Adam Henrique. Now, 425,000 or 50% of Carrick's salary was retained, and 50% of Enrique's salary was retained. And the Ducks get a 2024 first round pick from Edmonton, which would be a later round pick, but
It'll be in the
in a
20 to 32 range.
yeah, you can still get good guys there. I
Yeah.
mean, and 2025 fifth round pick, and that's conditional. And it's conditioned based on if Edmonton wins the Stanley. Well, a lot of these conditions are winning a Stanley Cup or getting into the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So I hate this trade.
Well, you also
I
got to
mean,
remember Tampa Bay also retained half of Henrique's salary, and they got a 2025 fourth round pick. And that's a conditional too. And the condition is if Edmonton wins the 2024 Stanley Cup final, it switches to a 2026 fourth round pick. Because so if the Oilers win, the 2025 fourth round pick goes to the Ducks, and since they traded the
uh,
fourth round pick to
you know,
Tampa, so the Ducks would get that fourth round pick, and then Tampa would get Edmonton's the 2026 fourth round pick. So it switches if Edmonton wins.
what's we've had a lot of trades that are inter division. I mean, this is the Ducks trading with the hated Oilers, which, obviously, I think Henrique and Carrick are they're valuable players. I mean, Henrique is I think
Henrique is
having
more
his
valuable.
well, he's had his best season, I think, with the Ducks.
I would say one of his best. Yeah,
Yeah, well, a lot better than the last few have been. And Carrick is one of those guys that he's always he reminds me of like Blake Lizotte from the Kings. I mean, they're always working. They're they're doing hits. They're heavenly sandpaper to probably Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Now they don't have that heavenly sandpaper against them when they play the Ducks. I think Edmund got better with this, but we're in the long run. Who knows?
well, they needed a third line center, and Henrique is, I think, the perfect guy to be a third line center because he could win faceoffs, he could play on the power play, he could play on the penalty kill. So I say good move. And Carrick is just that scrappy fourth line player that if you need a pick me up, he did exactly that. Even though it didn't really work in Edmonton's favor in their first game together, but he got in a fight in his first game with Edmonton.
And
He, I think he
they're welcoming him with open arms right now.
in close fist.
Well, let's hoping the fists are open so he doesn't get hurt. But
Oh, that's what he
anyways,
liked that.
the the rich get richer, guys. I'll be saying that a lot tonight.
But just be
Oh,
happy about this. It's only for this season. So Henrique and Carrick are only there for till this year. Maybe we'll see.
that's
But
true. Let's
you want to
let's
go?
move
You want to
on.
go over the next one?
The New York Rangers acquire from the Seattle Kraken Alex Winberg with 50% being retained. So basically a savings of 2,250,000. I'd like to get some of this money, to be honest with you, Cody. I mean, it sounds like pittance when it's a sport, but I could live pretty nice the rest of my life with $2.25 million in my pocket. But
Literally.
Seattle gets a 2024 second round pick from the Rangers and a 2025 fourth round pick Dallas conditional. And the condition follows a previous trade if Nils Lundvist earns 55 cumulative points over the 2023 and 2024
So
regular season.
if he
It's a
gets a total
combination,
of last year and this year, pretty much.
right? The pick upgrades to a Dallas 2025 third round pick.
That's an interesting condition.
I mean, these these are complicated trades.
I
I mean, it's
but with
gotten
with the
complicated.
flats with since we've barely got any salary cap increases, teams have had to get really creative in these trades. I mean, we'll talk about a lot of them.
Wimberg, the Rangers need a kick. He's going to give him a kick. He's a good player. He's not going to
Yeah,
be a one or two line guy. Maybe he's going to be in the bottom six with them, I think,
I
unless they have injuries.
I think he's going to be in the middle six, pretty much. I don't think he's going to be a top line guy, but he'll be in the second or third line probably if wherever he's needed.
Yeah, I'm thinking more third line, but then
Yeah,
again, you never know. I mean, he does. I think I've had him on my team, on my fantasy team, and he's a good point getter in fantasy. A lot of these guys that you wouldn't think to trade for are pretty good fantasy picks because they're good face-off guys.
yeah.
So I'll let you go ahead and do the next trade because it's another big one.
Well, before we move on, I saw something where I guess the Ducks told the Rangers like, "Hey, we'll trade Vetrano and Henrique. I think they were both at 50% retained for Capo Caco and a first round pick, and the Rangers said no.
Yeah, I
So
heard about that.
that's what I heard. So I think that's why they wanted for Wenberg, because I think one, he was cheaper, and then and they didn't have to give up a first round pick. So
Well,
um,
yeah, aren't they the ones where the owner has where the
the
draft's gonna
sphere,
be?
yeah, he owns the
So
sphere.
he don't wanna give up that first round pick because he's gonna make a splash in the draft this next year.
Yeah. So all right, next one. Got another Ve- Vegas Golden Knights, who I came out of nowhere in this trade. To be honest, I wasn't expecting this player to for him to go here. The Vegas Golden Knights acquire Noah Hannafin and Mikhail Vorborov. We'll go
Uh,
something like that. And Hannafin is 50% retained, and the Flyers also retained half of that, and they got a 2024 fifth round pick from Vegas. And here's where it gets really complicated. So Noah Hannafin got traded from Calgary to Vegas, and Calgary got Danil Miramonov, a 2024 third round pick conditional, and a 2026 conditional first round pick. The conditions are it upgrades to a 2025 second round pick if Vegas wins one playoff round this year. So, uh, and then the next condition for the second part is if Vegas trades their first round, uh, if traded by March 10th, 2024, or if the pick is a top 10, Vegas will receive a first round pick from Vegas.
Calgary? Well, if
Ye-
Vegas can't receive their own first round pick,
No,
right?
no, no, no. This is what Calgary's getting. If if traded by March 10th, 2024, or if the pick is a top 10, Calgary will instead receive a 2026 first round. Is that's
Yeah, because it was a 2025 first round pick, so it will change to a
It says
2026.
2026. It says 2026 on mine.
No, if you look up at the top, wait a second.
That's for the
Okay,
second.
but it's all conditional. There's a that's too many conditions. Let's not
eh,
confuse everybody and go over all the conditions on that one because it's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Next.
We'll move on because
But,
it
but
kind of repeats itself and it doesn't wholly make sense to me.
yeah. So, but other than that, I think Vegas gets defense. I hate that Vegas just they just I don't know how they find a way to get all these players like this. You know?
It's called creative financing.
Yeah. I mean,
I wonder how many accountants they have just working on all the salary stuff. It's
Vegas has to
crazy.
have they have to have the best accountants in the world to be able to do all this, and so probably some good lawyers for like, oh, the CBA says this, so we can do this. So
Yeah.
all right, but I just can't believe they got a Noah Hannafin. I was just shocked that he went there. I thought for sure he was going to East Coast. Like I thought he was going to Boston or Florida. That's the two places I expected him to go. Or Tampa Bay was, I think that's where he wanted to go. So, but we'll move on to the next trade. You want to talk about this, or you want me to do it?
Is this the Edmondson one?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Joel Edmondson uh, goes to the Toronto Maple Leafs with
Toronto.
Toronto, 50% retained, and the Washington Capitals receive a 2024 third round pick from the Islanders and a 2025 fifth round pick from Chicago. Pretty much that's it. I mean, look at
Yeah,
I told you Washington is rebuilding. They're going to draft and hopefully hit on some of these people, and the rebuild will be quicker.
I don't know if they're going to draft these players. I think they're going to use these picks to kind of retool their team. Because they want,
Obviously, they can
yeah,
take a bunch of
because
picks and get a player because
they
somebody else wants picks.
and I don't think Washington is going to be a retooling team as long as they have Ovechkin, because they want, well, one, I think they just want him to break. Gretzky's goal scoring record. So I think it's going to be more of a retool thing than a rebuild thing.
Yeah, well, you know what? Uh, Edmonton and Vegas are going they're not going to be able to keep everybody once everybody gets healthy.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
something's going to happen. So, hey, get they can trade, you know, $4 or $5 million player and get a bunch of picks for it and get their picks some of picks back because they don't have any left, right? Well,
yeah,
probably not much. Seventh round picks and stuff like that.
I can check out their. Oh, I could pull that up later. But all right, let's see. We'll go over the next one. The next one is a small, I would say a small minor trade between the Ducks and the Canadians. I think I don't really know much about who the Ducks acquired, but they required Jan Mizek. Mizik, we'll go with that for Jacob Perot. And I know you really don't know much because it's more of a minor league thing. I don't really know much about Jan Mizik. We'll just go with
Yeah.
Mizik. But Jacob Perot, he was I believe I think he was the late first round pick in Zegras' draft. I want to say he was like between 22 and 28 overall in there.
He has, but he had promise. I was
Yeah, he
surprised at the trade personally. So
well, he's had a lot of ups and downs with the goals over the last couple of years. He's really struggled a lot too. He's been up and down the lineup and everything. Of course, it doesn't help that the goals have had four different coaches in 4 years. But he just hasn't really hit like we expected him to hit. So I think this was more like the Canadians had the same issue with Mizik, and that's why they're like, hey, we see he's struggling. This guy's struggling. I think they just need a change of scenery to maybe that might jumpstart their career. So I think it was like that kind of move. So
yeah, it was a small move. Two minor leaguers.
yeah,
You know, we'll see what happens. I don't know
yeah,
much about the guy the Ducks acquired either, but you know, obviously, they felt like that was a good trade for them. Let's move
yeah.
on to the next one, where the dreaded Edmonton Oilers acquire Troy Stetcher and a 2024 seventh round pick from Boston. From the Coyotes, and the Coyotes get a 2027 fourth round pick from Edmonton. I mean, another defenseman. He's a defenseman,
Well,
is he not? He played for
yeah.
the Kings.
Troy Stretcher,
Stetcher.
Stretcher, isn't it?
No, there's no R. S T
Oh, so
E
it is.
C H R. Stetcher.
Yeah, he was the one that had him and Zegers had words a couple seasons ago.
Yeah. Well,
Uh, but I think
it's
that
a
was
minor
just
trade.
I would say minor. It wasn't like a top trade, but it is something that the Oilers needed because they just needed that. He's like that sixth, seventh defenseman for them. He's just a
Yeah,
depth
he's gritty.
defenseman. So yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
gritty, and so obviously sometimes those guys are the ones that make a difference in a series and win a playoff series for you.
all right, the next one is the Colorado Avalanche acquire Brandon Duhaime for a 2026 third round pick. Again, just I think Duhaime's a forward, so I think that's just Colorado getting some depth. And then
Yeah,
it's
and
gonna be same
getting
with the next trade.
and the Wild. What's that? Same as the next
Uh,
trade.
yeah, since same with the next trade, with because it also involves Colorado again. So, um, we'll just talk about kind of both of these at the same time. Colorado acquired Yakov Trenin and Graham Sward, the signing rights for Graham, for a 2025 third round pick and Jeremy Hansel. Again, I think it's just Colorado grabbing depth, and and everything like that. So, and they use that cap space they got from those other trades to help with this one. So, you know, and then
And
you have
you have
nothing for those,
Chicago.
or okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, and but we're gonna pass that one.
It's just Nashville grabbing Anthony Bavilier for as a depth forward.
Uh, yeah, 2024 fifth round pick, and then Carolina gets a sixth round pick from Toronto, and Toronto gets Cade Weber.
Signing rights. It's a college kid, I believe. So yeah, I just something to help later on. Um, Next one is Chicago, or not Chicago. The Calgary Flames acquire Riley Damani for Matthias Emilio Pedersen. I
Yeah, I
think
think
that's
it's
just
Damiani. I think it's Damiani.
oh,
God,
okay.
I'm actually
Wow, you corrected me
I'm
once.
stout.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's weird.
Hey,
But
everybody, that's a first.
that is a first. It's just two AHL guys, so our prospects. So we'll move on to the next one. The San Jose Sharks acquire Jack Thompson and a 2024 third round pick for Anthony Duclair and a 2025 seventh round pick. You know, I'd say just a depth forward for Tampa. Duclair's a good player for playoffs. He's been there before. He was with Florida last year, so just a depth forward for them.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's a good move for Tampa Bay.
yeah. So this is probably one of the bigger trades that we're going to talk about. Um, so Jake Gensel is now a Carolina Hurricane. So now the Carolina Hurricanes acquired Jake Gensel and Ty Smith, and for Pittsburgh got Michael Bunting, Vasily Ponomarev, Cruz Lucius, Vil Koivunen, and a 2024 second round pick that's conditional, and a 2024 fifth round pick that's conditional. The second round pick will upgrade to a first round if Carolina makes it to the final this year, and the fifth round pick will. Oh, Pittsburgh will receive that pick if Carolina wins the Stanley Cup. So if they make the final, they get a first rounder. If they win it, then that they get that fifth round pick. So,
Yeah,
Gensel, I'm surprised they actually traded him, and he's hurt right now. So who knows how long? I think good move for Carolina because they needed a winger, a scoring winger. So that I think that's a great move for them. So,
yeah,
you have anything else on that one?
and then now we'll move on to the next one, which is another minor one. Columbus Blue Jackets acquire Malcolm Subban from the St. Louis Blue get future considerations. I
I
guess
love that
they
trade.
wanted another go. You do? He's a goaltender, right?
No, I'm talking about the future considerations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just
Now, see, I like I like the next one because I think the Carolina Hurricanes are throwing they're throwing the boomerang and hope it comes back
yeah,
because they acquired Evgeny Kuznetsov, excuse me, from the Washington Capitals, and it's 50% retained for a 2025 third round pick from Carolina.
yeah.
That I mean, if Kuznetsov can find his game, because he's pretty good, he's just been off, and I think he was out for a while. So maybe he's going to come back and
He was in the assistance program, and he just got out and everything. So and then they waived him. So this is I think I don't think Washington was thinking like there wasn't really much of a future for him anymore. So that's why they traded him.
they got a third round pick for something they wanted to get rid of. So I think they win. At least that's how they see it. But I always liked him as a player. Yeah, this is a trade that surprised me because Okposo from Buffalo was there forever,
He was a
and I thought
captain.
and I just thought he'd never be traded, and so he went to the Florida Panthers. Obviously, you can see right now Florida's thinking they got a really big chance for the Stanley Cup, and I believe they might be the favorite in the East.
They have to
Um,
be.
and they got Kaye Salin and a 2024 seventh round pick from Florida conditional upgrades to a fifth round pick if Florida wins the Stanley Cup. Boy, I'm getting tired of hearing that one. It seems like every trade has something to do with either making it there or winning it.
Yeah.
So, but that was a surprise to me.
Yeah. And then the next one is the Anaheim Ducks acquire Ben Myers for a 2024 fifth round pick. I believe this is just Verbeek just getting some forward depth. It's funny because he even played last night too. So and but we'll go over that more tomorrow in the podcast.
Yeah, sounds
Um,
good.
and then the next one, small trade, Chad Ruwedel goes to the Rangers for a 2027 fourth round pick for the Penguins, and that's the New York Rangers pick. I don't really know much about that one. I believe it's just a little minor trade.
Hey, we're gonna pass these AHL trades.
Okay, we'll skip that one. All right. All right,
Let's get
here.
to this. Let's go to the
Let's,
big ones.
yeah,
And then this is another surprise.
I was shocked about this one.
Winnipeg Jets acquire Tyler Toffoli, ex Stanley Cup champion from the Kings, at 50% retained, and the New Jersey Devils get a 2024 third round pick, obviously from Winnipeg, and a 2025 second round pick from Winnipeg.
Yep.
And there's no conditions there. I like that
Mhm.
trade. I mean, I like that trade because it's simple.
Yeah, it's I think a good trade for both teams. New Jersey probably wasn't going anywhere this year. The Jets are probably one of the better teams in the West this year. I think they're one of the favorites. I know in the Central, it's I guess it's probably going to be Colorado, Dallas,
It
or Winnipeg.
well, Toffoli wasn't gonna be. He's not. They didn't figure him to be a staple on the team. He got Hughes. He got his brother. They've got.
They got
They've got
Meyer,
other
they got
play.
Heischer, so
Yeah, and
I
right
think
now,
he's a free agent after this, anyways. I think can't
and you
remember.
might be right, and that he might be that rental, and they figured they'd get some draft capital for him. So
Yeah,
I
he
think
could.
that might be a winner for both teams.
Yeah. And then we'll move on to the next one. I think this is just another depth move, but I'm surprised he went for this. But Jason Zucker went to the Nashville Predators for a 2024 sixth round pick. Uh, that's what the Coyotes got, and it's a Dallas pick. So I think it's just Nashville gearing up for the playoffs. You know, they just get a depth winger.
Maybe it's Arizona dumping some salary.
Yeah, they don't need. Oh, well, they did dump.
5.3 million they just got rid of, and nothing's retained.
Yeah,
So
so
maybe that might have been it.
yeah, but they
Oh,
don't really need to shed salary, anyways. Not like they're making the
and
playoffs.
yeah, and then the next trade, I don't know. I like Patrick Maroon. Always makes me think, oh, what a maroon. But I mean, he
Yeah.
was, he was good with Tampa Bay. He won a couple Stanley Cups with them, right?
He won three in a row. One with St. Louis, and then the next two with Tampa.
Yeah, and he's just one of those guys that gives you that toughness. So the Bruins get him, and he only had an $800,000 salary, and
Yeah,
obviously the Bruins can take that. And then they sent him Luke Toropowski. Toropowski. He's
Tupowaski. Yeah,
he's in the AHL and a 2026 sixth round pick, Boston conditional. Of course, it's transferred to Minnesota if Patrick Maroon plays one 2023-24 playoff game. Well, that's going to happen. He's going to play one,
yeah.
or maybe,
Well,
yeah, you would
mm,
think.
yeah,
I mean, it's Boston. They're going to make the playoffs. He's going to get in one game.
yeah. So I think it's just a depth move. We'll move on to the next one. So the next one is Eric Johnson goes to I was supposed to say Florida, the Philadelphia Flyers for a 2024 fourth round pick. I think it's just the Flyers just getting some defensive help because they traded Sean Walker away, and he's a free agent after this year. So I think it's just a hey, we might make the playoffs, so we just need some defensive help, and that was pretty much it.
God, I cannot believe how many trades there are. I mean, a lot of them are just so small. It's like players you would never think about.
Yeah. And then we'll go over the next one pretty quick. The Nashville Predators acquired Wade Allison, and for and then Philadelphia Flyers acquired Dennis Gurianov. I think just another depth move and everything. So we'll move on to the next one. The Boston Bruins acquire Andrew Peak for Jacob Zerbril for and a
Saboro.
2020 Zaboral, yeah, Zaboral, and a 2027 third round pick, and it's Boston's pick. So I think he's a center. So I think it's just getting some more center help for Boston.
We're going to bypass the next one because it's just an AHL trade.
Yeah.
We'll talk
So
about a bigger one. One of them becomes a player.
yeah,
The next one, the Montreal Canadiens trade Jake Allen to the New Jersey Devils at 50% retained for a 2025 third round pick, conditional, upgrades to a second round pick if Allen plays in 40 more 2024-2025 games, and if the club that Allen is a member of qualifies for the playoffs in 24-25. And he's probably going to be their number one, I would think.
yeah, because they made another trade coming that
Yeah.
we'll
Well,
talk about in a
it's
bit.
coming up. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So we'll move on to that next one, and this is another playoff push move.
yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah. So in this one, the Arizona Coyotes acquire a 2027 fifth round pick, and the Tampa Bay Lightning acquire Matt Dumba and a 2025 seventh round pick. You know, we finally get a Matt Dumba trade, something that's been rumored for years, and we finally get one, and it's not even with the Wild. So I think it's just a good defensive depth for him and everything. So um, we'll move on to the next one. Let's see, another AHL one. Uh, so the Rangers acquired Jack Roslovic for a 2026 fifth or fourth round pick that's a conditional to for Columbus, and upgrades to a 2026 third round pick if the Rangers make it to the Stanley Cup Finals and if Roslovic plays in 50% of the playoffs. All right, sorry about that. We keep having some technical issues, but we'll move on to the next one. The San Jose Sharks acquire Vitek Vanacek at a 2025 seventh round pick for Capo Kakinen. So, I think it's going to be Kapanen and Jake Allen
And Allen.
next.
Allen
Yeah,
will be 1A, maybe
yeah,
Capo will be 1B.
yeah. So, yeah, I think it's just trying to change things up in New Jersey because Schmid, Vanacek, and Dawes were just not cutting it for them. So, I think it's they just a change of scenery and hopefully they get some help. But we only got a couple, three more trades left to talk about.
Well, and I'm going to talk about this one. It's another one I hate.
This is the one I think shocked everyone.
What definitely shocked me when I saw that. I think I texted you, said Hurdle got traded to Vegas. Tomas Hurdle, with 17.1% retained, a 2025 third round pick from San Jose, and a 2027 third round pick from San Jose. And San Jose receives David Edstrom, an AHL player, and a 2025 first round pick from Vegas. I mean, That's gonna
Edstrom
be
is
a
like he's like one of their top prospects. I think he was one of their first round picks in the recent within the recent years.
well, you never know because there's a lot of good guys that come up at the end of the first round. I mean,
Yeah,
I always like to say, you Kings fan, did you know that, Luke Robitaille was a ninth round pick? They don't even have 9 rounds in the draft anymore. So
yeah,
you can find value in a lot of, 4th round picks. I mean, again, um, Matt Roy, 7th round pick,
yeah,
So, it's amazing. That's why you see so much of this happening because people find gems,
yeah.
later in the
Now
draft. So,
I don't know if you know this, but I think this is probably one of the stupidest trades for San Jose. One, they're getting rid of one of their top players, someone that can help push them past the rebuild and everything like that. And he's still signed for 6 more years. And now, for the rest of this year and next year, both they have all 3 retention slots taken up. I think it's the Burn. Was it for Brent Burns, Thomas Hurdle, and I forgot who the other player was. Um. Oh.
Timo
Uh,
Meyer.
no. Carlson. Eric Carlson. So now they're retaining for 6 years on Thomas Hurdle, another 2 or 3 years on Carlson, and Brent Burns will end after next season. And for a rebuilding team, that is not a great idea. Because now, next year, when they want to make a trade, they can't retain any salary at all on any of their players.
So what we're hearing
So,
say is the San Jose Sharks are gonna suck for a few years.
well, I mean, I think we already knew that, but they did not help. They did not help them at all with this. Like, I was just like, why? Why? Like, I understand like you're rebuilding and everything like that, but to trade one of your best players who signed for another 6 years, someone that could have, been your next captain, or someone that could lead you, someone that you could build around and everything like that, and they trade him to Vegas. They trade him to Vegas, and I
Well,
think
what
even
you
Vegas,
yeah, but what you don't see is maybe behind the scenes. It was getting ugly with him. We don't know.
true, but
This is speculation, people. It's not fact. You never
yeah,
know. I mean, sometimes they want to rebuild and they're doing it all the way out.
yeah,
N- But
but they'll
don't give a competitor in your same division a Stanley Cup. I mean,
yeah,
really,
again, another
this is what
one.
I can't believe. Te- Teams in the division have made what Edmonton stronger, Vegas stronger. Um,
Winnipeg.
well, Winnipeg's conference, they're in the other division,
Oh, you're okay. You're talking
but
about.
they're also still part of the Western playoff part. But wow,
I, I'm just surprised Vancouver didn't make another big trade, or in the Kings. But
well,
I,
yeah,
I,
when you're who you got to dump, you have to dump
no,
salary.
I know.
Who are you
But
going to dump?
the one thing I do love about this Vegas trade is Vegas. I believe tweeted out saying, "Hey, you didn't see that one coming, did you?" And I bet you didn't expect that you'd see Vegas Golden Knights fans buying a Thomas Hurdle jersey, because like the Sharks in Vegas, when before the Sharks became like crap and everything, they were always playing each other in the playoffs and everything like that, and they always had some great series. So I think that's why I think Vegas made that little joke, and I was like, I kind of laughed at that. That was kind of funny. But that was the last like big trade. We got 2 small ones after this. The New Jersey Devils acquire a 2026 fourth round pick, and in that the Winnipeg Jets acquire Colin Miller. I believe he's just another defenseman. God, he has a shot. I think he has like some of the hardest slap shots this year. He's
Well,
up there.
New Jersey got rid of 1.85 85 million.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
one
I
million eight
think
hundred fifty thousand.
Yeah. So, and then the next
I think
trade is
that's why they made that trade. It's a salary dump. Not a
yeah, and
lot, but
I don't think they're going to do much this year, but I think they're going to just use the picks they got to get better next year. So, and then the last trade of the trade deadline is Dmitry Ovechnikov and a 2026 fourth round pick that it's a Toronto pick, and the Toronto Maple Leafs acquire Connor Dewar. Don't know much about this trade, but that's the last trade we have here on Cap Friendly.
yep. Well, it was a big trade line. There's a lot of trades, people. We're going to see what the results are. I'd like to
Mhm.
hear your thoughts. You know, we'd really love for you to let us know what you think. What trade did you think was the biggest and the best, and that team is going to go farther or further than they would have without the trade? Which trade do you think was the biggest trade and made the biggest difference? Let us know. We want to know.
Yeah, but give me your winner and your loser for this trade deadline.
Well, I think Edmonton and Vegas won.
Yeah,
Um, San Jose
San Jose is
loser.
definitely loser because I'm sorry, that was just bad. I agree with you, and I would say the only other winner I can think of is Florida.
Florida.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to go out on a huge limb, and I'm going to say the biggest trade from this trade deadline was the Arizona Coyotes acquiring the 2024 sixth round pick from Dallas and Nashville getting Jason Zucker. He's gonna be a superstar. You heard it here first on Royally Quacked.
that's probably the biggest hot take right there.
Hey, you got to go out on a limb sometime, right?
Yeah. So, ah, well, I'm actually so I'm. Were you shocked that the Kings didn't make any trades? Or
I am not. You know what? They've been up and down a little bit, but they've been playing a lot better lately,
yeah.
and they're just so cap strapped right now. You
Well,
know,
so are the Golden Knights, and look how they look how they finished.
okay, but the Kings have to give up something of high
I,
quality.
no, I know, I
You
agree,
know,
but
and then you have to find everybody that wants to retain, and then you have to give all your draft picks away, and they're not willing to do that. They've done
no,
that enough. So,
and
in the long run, I think it was smart.
yeah, no,
And
I
then
agree
we're gonna see what they're gonna do next year
because
because
do the
there's
Kings
gonna
have
be
their first round pick this year?
they have their first round pick for this next draft. Yes,
Oh, see, I think that's I don't think this is the Kings' year. If they could still win it all. You never know. It's just whoever is the hot team at that
2012,
time.
brother.
Yeah,
2012, brother. Well, I should say,
whatever.
son, 2012. Who expected them? They barely squeaked into the playoffs that year. You just never know,
No, yeah,
And then St. Louis winning at the few years back. Who expected that?
yeah,
Nobody
exactly.
expected Florida to be in the finals last year. It's happening more often than you want to believe. Um, so there's always guys. There's hope. There's hope for our teams. I mean, the Ducks
Yeah.
don't have much of a chance to make the playoffs this year, but they got
What?
they have a great nucleus of young players, and Zellweger, he's up there playing with it. He's looked good.
Yeah.
I'm
So
driving.
the key.
I don't get to watch many of the games, guys, but I'm listening to them, and I listen to the Ducks or the Kings games because obviously we have a podcast about them. So I want to know as much as I possibly can about them.
Yeah.
So and
So
there's
right
promise
now,
there. They got a lot of good.
yeah. So the Kings have their first round picks for the next 3 years. They don't have a second round pick and a third round pick this year. They have in this year alone, they have 1, 4, 6, and 7. And then the 2 years after that, they got all their picks. So I honestly, I think it
So
was
if
a
they,
smart. I think it was a smart move because I mean, you never know what can happen in the playoffs, but I don't think this was. the year to really go out and do something. And I do agree with you. I think it was probably better to stay pat and not do anything because that might help them next year. And I hate to say that as a Ducks fan, but I think that might help them better next year where, you know, Kopitar's salary is going to go down, even though you're going to have to pay Byfield, extend him and everything like that. But you can use some of your picks and some of um, you know, your salary, whoever's coming off the salary cap next year and then make the team better.
Yeah, well, you're going to see. I mean, I believe if Turcotte can stay healthy, you're going to probably see him. I think he might be a regular next year. So you're going to see somebody probably go
Yeah.
other than Jared Anderson Dolan. You
Oh,
and did you
and
you
he's
hear?
gone.
Uh, yeah, he's gone.
Nashville claimed
But
him.
by Bjornfoot is not a knight anymore.
Oh,
He
they
went.
waived him.
He got picked up. They put him on waivers and somebody claimed him. And I can't remember who now. I'd have to look it up. But anyways, there's a lot of young guys that I think the Kings are going to have to rely on, or they're going to have to make a trade, and you have to trade, a big salary, Arvidsson or somebody in his category. I'm only saying that because he's an unrestricted free agent. They may just not re-sign him,
Yeah.
or Matt Roy, and there's $7 million, I think, right there.
Yeah.
And then you got Kopitar, 3 million less. That's 10 million. Byfield's taken care of,
Yeah.
you
So
know, and then the
before
the
we
cap's going to go up.
yeah. So before we get off, I just got one last question. Who were you surprised that did not get traded, and who were you surprised that did get traded in this deadline? I think
Funny you
you and I
should
are.
ask.
I think you and I are going
I
to agree on
You
who
and I are
on some.
probably going to say the same guy on who didn't get traded, and that would be for Toronto. I'm surprised he didn't get traded.
I, yes and no for me on that one. I think the one I was kind of more shocked on was Riley Smith too. Because I thought he
Yeah,
was
but
either
there
going
was
to go
so much
to.
talk about.
No, no, I know, but he's also has another year, and he likes Anaheim, and we can always trade him in the off season, and we can also trade him next trade deadline. So I'm not really as worried about that one as much. You
I was
never know what
shocked
can
because
happen
there
next
was
year.
so much talk about it. There was so much
No,
talk
I
about it, and the one I,
no, I
the one
agree with.
I
I
that
agree. I was shocked he didn't get traded. So,
so I went first on that one. You're going to go first on who surprised you that they got traded.
oh, I think you and I are
You
also
first.
going to agree
You
on this. It's Hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely. I was so. I mean, I text you on that one. Hurdle
Yeah,
got
I was
traded,
like,
and I'm like to Vegas, of course.
yeah, I was like, wow, I can't believe he got traded. I wasn't his name wasn't out there at all. So I think that was my
Yeah,
biggest one that did get traded. Sorry, I'm
yeah.
I'm looking up to see where Bjornfoot went. He was placed on waivers. I don't see
Nashville.
anything about. He's in Florida now. Sorry, Tobias Bjornfoot is now with Florida. Yeah,
Yeah, watch it.
but
Watch him go over and play in the playoffs and help him win a Stanley Cup. That would be funny. I was surprised that they put Bjornfoot on waivers. I would have put Jared Anderson Dolan on waivers first. He actually passed through it once. I didn't pass through it this last time, but he's a first round pick. And he played 70 games against that one year when they had everybody hurt. Doughty was hurt. Our whole defensive core was hurt. They had all the young guys up there. They go and played Edmonton to a 7-game series, and they won 3 out of the 7 with a bunch of young guys, and they played well.
and
And
no
I
Dowdy.
still think, well, no, Doughty wasn't in there. Most of their defensive core was out.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where Jersey picked up, and before they traded him to Arizona.
yeah.
And I still, I'll be honest with you, I think their power play, if they had kept Jersey, I know why they didn't keep Jersey, but their power play was awesome with Dursey and Doughty running it last year.
Yeah.
So, but they're hoping Clark's going to be better than Dursey, which I think he will be in the long run. But, we're going to sign off for the trade deadline, everyone. We want to thank you for listening. Um, Please let us know what you like and dislike about our podcast. Um, we're going to be recording our episode 3 about the Kings and Ducks tomorrow. So they'll probably may be coming out almost at the same time. Probably Monday, maybe.
Well, we'll see how everything with editing goes because we've been having a lot of technical issues. So this will be fun
Yeah.
for me.
So yeah, what Cody, guys, if you guys don't know, Cody, he does a majority of this. I'm just a voice, and he records, he edits, he does everything, And unfortunately, I'm not much help in that aspect. I'm not quite as with the technical data stuff. I'm not that good. I mean,
Neither am
normal
I.
tech.
I'm learning as I'm going. So, like,
Yeah, but
I'm also gonna say this too. Like, I know, like, to get everything out there, we got to be really good on social media, like Twitter and Instagram. But you know, guys, we both drive for a living. We can't be on our phones 24/7. We can't be watching games or watching highlights constantly because we drive for a living. And I'm not very good at the whole social media thing. I try.
yeah,
I've been trying to get better, but but please tell your family and friends about our podcast. Ducks fans, Kings fans, or if you know someone that's just trying to learn about the sport. Like I've had a couple of my friends, they've been listening and they know nothing about hockey. So I appreciate them helping me out, listening and everything like that. Um, Please like, leave a review on your favorite podcast. Guys, we're on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Overcast. If there's a podcast platform that you guys use and we're not on it, please DM us on Instagram, please, or at Royally
yeah.
Quacked. Let me know. I'll do my best to get our podcast so that way you guys can listen to it. So
I think we need to hire your mom as our social media expert because she's really good at it. Oh, and by the way, on that story about on our last podcast about the first Ducks practice, Cody was in a stroller. We didn't shout out for her. She was the one pushing the stroller, taking care of him. I think it was her idea that we actually went. So
and we wouldn't have this podcast without mom because she kind of
obviously you wouldn't have been here, and this was your idea and your baby, you
yeah.
know. And
But
thank you for
shout out mom,
all.
thank you, I appreciate everything. She helped
Yeah,
me out because she gave me some criticism and I agreed with her, so I have no
yeah, well,
problem. Just so please guys, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. You can follow me on my personal Twitter and Instagram at Spinko1221. You can follow my dad at his personal Instagram at Gary Spink21. So guys, please let us know. Like, subscribe. I know I've repeated it, but I'll try to post our link tree on our Instagram, so that way you could just go on our Instagram and everything will be right there. It'll take you right to where you need to go. So thank you guys, and we'll be signing off.
all right. Good night, everyone.